Bruce Banner, the Hulk, is one of the highest skill cap tanks in Marvel Rivals, but he's also one of the core members of nearly every top-ranked team. The Hulk is a heavy aggro tank with some self-sustain and very high damage output. Similar to Venom, his job is to land into the middle of the enemies and cause a bunch of chaos, bringing a bunch of tension to himself before getting out. He's not quite the same dive style as Venom, and he doesn't have as reliable of an escape, but he's quite a bit higher damage and has some better mitigation. When you're playing as this character, you have two different forms. Bruce Banner, which you're going to start every fight off with, and then the Hulk. As Bruce Banner, he's pretty simple. He has an energy gun that's got 25 shots. It has a really strange velocity for the rate of fire of the gun, and it can be a little bit tough to get used to using this thing. You have to lead your targets quite significantly, and it can be really hard to hit targets due to the slow projectile speed. The main purpose of this gun is to land as many shots as you can to rebuild up your ultimate. His left shift tosses out a Gamma Bomb. The Gamma Bomb will explode on contact, knocking all players away. He can throw it at his own feet to give himself a bounce of movement speed, bouncing away from enemies, or he can throw it at the enemy team, bouncing them backwards. If you find yourself in the middle of enemies or with some kind of diver upon you, doing a quick downward shift, bouncing you and your opponent away from each other can be a great way to survive. Bruce Banner's ultimate is to transform into the Hulk. This is now going to give him a tank-style kit and quite a bit more hit points. Hulk's basic attack is Heavy Blow, where he just slams in the target with his 4 fists. This has a pretty slow attack rate, but a decent chunk of damage. When you're playing Hulk, you're going to be throwing hands non-stop as you're on your opponents, beating them senseless with this attack. Hulk's right-click ability is a clap. The clap will do damage to the target in front of him, as well as send out a projectile. This is your highest damage attack, and you're going to be wanting to use this as often as possible. The projectile seemingly has unlimited range. You can shoot it from practically the other side of the map, and the projectile will still do a decent chunk of damage. Due to its long cooldown, you're not necessarily going to want to be spamming this thing in combat. Instead, you're going to want to use it at opportune moments when a target gets particularly low. If whoever you're hitting is receiving direct healing, your damage from your clap is unlikely to make the difference in the fight. But if you use the clap to damage a target that is not receiving healing in the middle of damaging somebody else, you might be able to chunk out another target or help somebody take them down. Hulk's E is Radioactive Lockdown. He will shout out a projectile that when it hits a target, it exiles them. This means the target is stunned and cannot receive damage or healing from external sources other than the Hulk. Upon the Hulk dealing damage to the target, the exile ends. There are a couple main uses of the exile. First is to stop ultimates. A lot of character ultimates will get cancelled if they get hit by the exile, ending them prematurely. Second is to stop somebody from running away from you. If you're chasing somebody down and just can't keep up with them, hitting them with Radioactive Lockdown can lock them in place so you can get back into melee range before starting clobbering them again. Finally, it can be used to remove a player from a fight for a short period. If you're plowing into the enemy tank and you're able to get a Radioactive Lockdown into one of their healers, exiling them for a few seconds, that may be enough to be able to do the damage to take out the tank before they can receive any healing. Alternatively, if your enemy has one single tank, like Stephen Strange with the shield up, and you're able to exile him, your ranged damage dealers are going to be able to hit their supports and take them out before the tank is back. Knowing proper timings to use this exile is extremely important to Hulk's kit, and one of the reasons why he's a higher skill and tier character. If you're constantly just shooting and then ending your exile on targets by clobbering into them, you're probably using the skill wrong. Locking priority targets down is a much better use of this ability. Hulk's shift is Indestructible Guard. He'll place a bubble on himself and all nearby allies that lasts a short period of time and has a small hit pool. Upon receiving the shield, the targets will be immune to all CC and will fully absorb at least one full hit. As long as the shield remains, any damage done to them will be applied to the shield and will not carry through to their basic hit points even if the damage exceeds the HP of the shield. This is another high skill usage ability in Hulk's kit. The shield can save your entire team from Iron Man, Doctor Strange, or Scarlet Witch just by getting it off before their ultimate applies. But targets do have to be pretty close to you. Most of the time, you are just going to be using this shift to give yourself a bubble of defensive when you get into fights, making sure targets can't CC you and you're able to get your clobbering in. Might not want to pop it immediately because your enemies might take a little bit of time before they get their crowd control abilities ready to hit you. Pay attention to how quickly your enemies are reacting to you entering into combat, and try and save the shield, timing it to when they would attempt to CC you to get the most benefit out of the skill. The most important part of Hulk's kit is his super jump. As long as you're holding down space, you're going to build up a jump bar, and then when you release, you're going to leap forward towards wherever the arrow that's built up is pointing. This has no cooldown, and you're able to constantly be building up and applying these jumps. And if you jump onto a wall and hit space when you hit the wall, you'll latch onto the wall and are able to do a jump again. This gives Hulk some amazing mobility, an ability to get around the map that other players just can't match. A good Hulk player is regularly leaping around the match, grabbing onto new locations, and leaping again before slamming into the enemy team, using their ability and cooldowns, and then leaping away before the enemy team can get too much attention onto them. You're mostly there to be a nuisance, a distraction, and a constant threat, and you don't want the enemy team to chunk down your hit points immediately. So you're not just going to be standing there soaking up damage like Venom does before he swings away. You're going to want to take as little damage as possible once you've entered into the fray before leaping out and finding a new angle. Finding platforms and other areas to jump onto is going to be extremely beneficial while you're playing this character, and learning how he can navigate each of the different maps is core to his gameplay. You should hardly ever jump into your enemy team if your ally team is not immediately ready for a fight. The amount of split attention that you can cause to your enemy team is the biggest value set that Hulk can add to a fight. If all the attention is exclusively on you, or all the attention is exclusively onto your allies, Hulk isn't really doing his job. If you do run out of HP, instead of dying, you get transformed into Puny Banner. You have his low hit point pool and full access to his abilities, and your ultimate cooldown will become 0. It's now your job to stay alive as Bruce as long as you can, dealing as much damage as you can with his pistol, and disrupting the enemy team with his grenades until you build up your energy again to transform. If you're constantly turning into Puny Banner inside the enemy team, you've made a big mistake as Hulk. The transformation into Puny Banner should only happen if an enemy manages to clip you during your escape. And that should have you already a decent distance away that you should be able to escape using the shift bomb and get out of line of sight. If you're able to get back into Hulk form, that is 800 extra health that you just gained into the fight that your opponents are going to have to fight through again. Dying as Puny Banner is one of the biggest mistakes you can make as this character, far larger than dying on any other character in this game. Similar to how Puny Banner can turn into Hulk, Hulk can turn into Monster Hulk. Hitting that Q button, you'll turn into a massive version of Hulk. Your basic attacks are now going to apply a knockback effect. Your right click is now going to have a 1-second cooldown, and you're going to be able to smash out clapped hands non-stop for a decent chunk of time. When transforming into Hulk or Monster Hulk, you have immunity frames. You can't take any damage while you're in mid-transformation, and after the transformation, your health pool will be set to the maximum of your new form. 800 as Hulk, and 1550 as Monster Hulk. When you have your ultimate ready is when Hulk should be extra aggressive, slamming into the enemy team and doing as much damage as possible as base Hulk. Just before you die, hit that Q key and transform yourself into Monster Hulk. Then continue with your new hit points, slamming and disrupting the enemy team more, and dealing massive damage with those claps. Don't forget you can still exile targets to stun them and remove them from the game when in Monster Hulk form. Monster Hulk lasts for 13 seconds, one of those seconds being part of the animation frame of transforming. Monster Hulk also has an ultimate ability, and when you activate that, you'll grab onto a target and start slamming them around like Hulk did to Loki in the Avengers movie. This CCs the target for the entire duration and does a decent chunk of damage to them. Extremely beneficial to use on the enemy tank to stop all of their block efforts, or onto the enemy healer while other healers aren't able to keep them alive. The key to this skill is that it extends the duration of your Monster Hulk form. So don't use this immediately upon transforming into Monster Hulk. Instead, do damage and clap your targets, lowering their health quite a bit before activating it just before your transformation back into Hulk. This will extend your Monster Hulk frames and allow you to use more of that Monster Hulk HP while locking a target down. The Hulk has two different team-up abilities. First up is Gamma Boost, which he activates for Doctor Strange as well as Iron Man. This gives each of them a Gamma-infused ability, boosting their damage significantly. Gamma Boost is the strongest team-up in the game right now, and Hulk Strange is one of the strongest tank combos as long as Iron Man is present in the game. The amount of extra damage Iron Man gets from Gamma Boost is insane. You're going to want to lock in Hulk any chance you get to have an Iron Man on your team. Next up, he has the Fastball Special, which he activates with Wolverine. This allows him to pick up Wolverine and hurl him at the enemy team for some crazy knockback and extra engage for that Wolverine player. This is probably the least influential team up in the game, so I wouldn't prioritize it anyway, but it is a little bit fun for the Wolverine player. Similar to Thor and Venom, Hulk is not a solo tank, because he's not really there defending his teammates. Hulk needs to be mobile, constantly moving around the map, and coming in at different angles, doing a bunch of damage and then getting out before he gets taken down. He's not just sitting there blocking attacks for his friends, and he doesn't have a great amount of ways to be able to mitigate incoming damage. You're extremely hard to heal due to your high mobility and the fact that you're constantly jumping around, so it's your job to keep yourself healthy. This is one of the reasons why he's not a good low skill character, because healers in these ranks are going to panic about your constantly low health and are going to try and be getting you in line of sight to heal you, distracting them from what they need to do, or you're going to be constantly demanding heals, taking too much attention away from your other tanks and teammates. Self-sustain and survivability is extremely important as you get into higher ranks and players get better and better. and mastering that is going to be key to mastering the Hulk. That, now you have all the information you need to start playing the Hulk in your competitive matches. If Hulk's mobility is too much for you to handle, next time we're going to talk about the least mobile tank in the game. We're talking about Groot, the Master of Walls.
Sazaze.